In this video, we're going to take a look at the use of referencing and some mistakes that can happen when we use referencing. So first of all, what is referencing? There are actually two meanings of referencing. The first one is like when you're writing an essay and you say something like, Einstein said that, blah, 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 or William Shakespeare wrote, etc., etc. We're not really interested in that kind of referencing here. We're interested in another kind of referencing, which is when in your first sentence you talk about someone or something, and then in the next sentence or the next sentence you refer back to the person in that first sentence. And if that's not clear, don't worry, we'll see an example in a minute. But the key is that we're using pronouns to refer back. So what are pronouns? Pronouns are things like he and him and her, she, they, them, words like that. Let's take a look at a correct example. So we could say, John is a great dad. He always plays with his son and he picks him up from school every day. So he is, what a great dad. The pronouns that we've got there are the he and the he, and we've used them very clearly so that we know that we're always talking about John. We're always talking about the dad. So that sentence, the meaning is clear. But in the next page, we're going to see some examples where maybe not so clear. So let's take a look at a couple of incorrect examples. First of all, a simple one. The dog and the cat were looking for its ball. And another one, a little more complicated. John and Peter are good friends. He always helps him finish his homework and invites him over to his house. So what's the problem there? What's happening? So the problem is that these sentences are not clear. We don't know who we're talking about. So who does the ball belong to? Is it the dog's ball or is it the cat's ball? And who is helping who? Whose house are they going to? It's very unclear because we've not used pronouns in a good way. So how can we correct those two sentences that we saw? So we have to be more specific. The sentences are not clear, but if we're more specific, we can make them clear. All right, so for example, the dog and the cat were looking for the dog's ball. So not just its ball, its could be the cat's, it could be the dog's, but if we say specifically the dog's ball, no confusion, very, very clear. And then the other one, John and Peter are good friends. John always helps Peter with his homework and invites Peter over to his house. So we've used some pronouns and some names. And it's a good balance now that we have. It's easy to understand the sentence, but we're not saying the names again and again and again, because that would be a little strange and boring. But we're not making our reader very confused by saying him, his, all the time. We've got a good balance, and now the sentence is clear. For your challenge, I'm going to give you two sentences that have referencing problems, and you're going to correct them so that they're very easy to understand, okay? But remember, we don't always have to replace all of the pronouns. It's good to try to find a balance. Have a try now. So let's take a look at some answers. So the first one, we could say something like, thanks Sarah and Jessica for coming. Send them home and tell Jessica that she has got the job. So now it's clear who was successful in, let's say, this job interview. And then the second one, Harry and Barry both wrote great essays, and Harry's arguments about the causes of the war were particularly interesting. Okay, so now it's clear again who we're talking about. So everyone, that is referencing. It's something that is quite a high-level skill, and it's a very good way of creating some variety and making your language seem quite sophisticated when you're writing. All right? So be careful of your use of referencing when you next write in English. See you in the next video.